What is going on, Nuggets Nation and NBA fans? I am Tom Leuthner. Welcome back into Nuggets today. We got a few topics here, little hypothetical trades, some guys who I think could help Denver out, some community talk, some things that I've seen that are, potential moves for Denver, obviously, that, like I said, can help them out and what I think is actually beneficial. So this first topic that I want to get into here is going to be the first and second topic. Technically, we're going to break it down. But this first topic is, does this move help Denver take a step forward? And that is the idea that the Suns are shopping Royce O'Neal. And Denver would be able to capitalize a trade with O'Neal, or for O'Neal, rather. I think that he fits. And like I said, I'll cover in a little while. I've seen a few different trade scenarios for Royce O'Neal. The first trade being Zeke Naji and Jalen Pickett for Royce O'Neal straight up. Not the worst trade in the world. I am not a believer in Jalen Pickett. I know that there are some Denver fans out there. If we are going to look into the farm for a potential backup point guard, why not let it be Trey Alexander? I don't think Pickett's proven anything, and like I've said in previous episodes, I think that Pickett is just an ego pickup by Calvin Booth, where Denver thought he needed to play because Calvin Booth made it seem like he was going to be this potential, point guard too, who's actually able to come in and take over those minutes. I haven't seen anything from Pickett that I'm actually amazed by, and it's the same thing with Zeke Naji. But let's break down the contracts real quick. Royce O'Neal's on a 4-year, $42 million contract until 27-28. Pickett's on a 4-year, $8 million contract until 27-28. And Najee's on a 4-year, $32 million contract until 27-28 with a player option. But the next thing I want to get into is the breakdown of this trade. I think that this helps the Nuggets if this trade were to go through is strictly because O'Neal's a 3-and-D guy. If you go and watch the last few episodes I covered, the guys I said that Denver should target are Taurean Prince, Taylor Horton Tucker off the bench, off contracts. Why? Because they're 3-and-D guys who can shoot the ball. You go and look at Royce O'Neal's stats and what he was able to do. He averaged 9 points. Maybe that's not a lot, but that's 3 threes off the bench if you think about it. I mean, five rebounds per game at 6'6", which isn't terrible. He's a good defender. He shot 42% from the field and 40% from three, which is awesome for Denver. I know he's a little bit older, but I think that Denver could use this kind of help for Nikola Jokic because that's all we're talking about. All we're saying as fans is Denver needs to dump this guy and get a shooter here. Denver needs to do this. The thing about a trade like this and bringing on guys like Taurean Prince, THT, Seth Curry, whoever that may be, is that this now gives Jokic another option if a guy like MPJ is hurt and struggling. If a guy like Aaron Gordon is hurt and struggling. If a guy like Jamal Murray or Christian Brown aren't having good games, these players can come in and do something to help Jokic out now because they could hit these shots off the bench, which is what Denver needs because they didn't have anybody off the bench this year that was able to actually make these shots. Like I said, I think this is actually a semi-realistic option. We already know the Suns are in a terrible place. You look at their contracts, you look at their players, they're going to need to dump people this offseason. That's why there's all these rumors with Kevin Durant, which is highly unlikely that Denver's able to outbid another team for him anyway. But there's talks about them moving Bradley Beal. There's talks about them, moving guys like Mason Plumlee or not signing him back, which another option I think that the Nuggets should target. But you look at what this trade provides. It provides two young guys going into Phoenix and maybe developing there. They may be able to develop. Who knows if Denver hasn't seemed to be able to develop that many players at a super high level. I know you could say obviously Jokic, Gordon, or Jokic, Murray, and MPJ rather, but those weren't developed under the Booth regime. So those were developed under the Tim Connolly regime. So why not dump two younger guys who aren't going to play and just take up cap space for a guy who's going to take up that cap space but is actually good enough to get those minutes? We don't need another Saric-like player where it's like, well, let's take a shot on this guy. This is a guy who we know can come in, we know can play. If you look at MPJ stats, right, 18-7, I believe, this guy is a perfect backup for MPJ. Sure, he's 6'6", maybe he doesn't have the height. He plays defense. He can be a small power forward. He could be a small forward or a shooting guard. And 9 and 5 off the bench would be amazing for Denver. That's what they're missing. So why not go out and try to trade for a guy like Royce O'Neal? I think it might be the perfect fit, especially if you're able to get Taurean Prince. Both of them come off the bench together with a guy like Strother, a guy like Deron Holmes. Maybe if we're able to bring Brucey back, and that's our defensive core right there. Now you're able to run so many defensive sets because you have a guy like Royce O'Neal, you have a guy like Bruce Brown, obviously, if you're able to bring him back, who can now guard the 1 through 3, 1 through 4, and Taurean Prince off the bench if you're able to sign him. I know it's a lot to happen, but again, I think it's a perfect move for Denver because he fits what Denver needs, and that's shooting and defense. This next topic I want to hop into is going to be the same kind of thing. I think it's going to be this is going to be two topics covering the same kind of topic, and that is the youth for youth movement. I was looking at it, and this isn't as accessible as the Royce O'Neal trade would be, but the Lakers are looking for a guy who could play a big role. The Nuggets are looking for a guy who can shoot. Do we potentially see a move from LA to Denver? I know it's conference based, so it might not happen, or it would have to be with three teams in there, and Denver just gets what they want. But it would be two trades. Well, there was a couple different, again, variations I saw these trades. The first one I saw was our 31 first, Peyton Watson for Dalton Connect. I know Connect's a little bit older, but hear me out. 6'6", catch and shoot player, can play a little bit of defense. I know Watson's our defender off the bench, but let's say we get a guy like Prince, like I said. Let's say Denver gets a guy like Prince. You can now replace that. He's able to catch and shoot. And now here we go into this last topic here. Would he be a better fit around Jokic? I don't think Peyton Watson's the worst player, and I've said this so many times throughout this offseason. I think he's a fourth option on the bench. I don't think that he should be your second or third. I think Dalton Connect could be the second, first option off the bench. Like I said, Dalton Connect came in. His stats sort of dropped by the end of the season. I believe he averaged around 8 or 9 points. I know that Peyton Watson averaged around the same amount of points, but the Lakers tried to trade Connect. I know they wanted a big man, so maybe you structure that around Valanciunas and or not Valanciunas rather. Sorry, I'm thinking the Kings now. Maybe you structure that around Zeke Naji and Peyton Watson. Send them both over if you're able to for the cap space, because the Lakers are probably going to lose Caruso, it seems like, and you get a guy like Dalton Connect in return. I'm fine with dumping Naji, Watson, and a first. I know it's a lot, right? Hear me out. I know it's a lot, and Watson is younger than Dalton Connect, but Denver needs something now. This is season 3 of Peyton Watson actually getting minutes. And I know what you can say is it's season 3 of Julian Strother. He was not getting the Peyton Watson type of minutes. This is season 3 of Peyton Watson getting those minutes, and we haven't seen the most out of him that we should have been seeing. He's supposed to be a super athletic 4 who can finish anywhere, shoot, and I said this, if we're going to keep him in the system and develop him, he needs to learn how to finish making layups on fast breaks, because I don't care if he could hit 2 of 5 threes in a game. He shouldn't be taking them. He's a 6'7", 6'8" body, super athletic, get to the rim. So if Denver's not able to develop him, why not go get the 3-and-D shooter, the three-point shooter that we need in a guy like Dalton Connect and attempt to make that run? Again, like I said, Lakers are searching for any kind of big help right now. I know that Peyton Watson's not the biggest body, but he was Denver's backup 5 when Jokic sat out this year. You look at the postseason, especially in the second round, and you look at what the 5 was when Jokic was off the floor. Who were the 2 bigs? Aaron Gordon and Peyton Watson. He is capable of playing a big role. Not a big role in Denver, because I don't want to see him in Denver if this is the trade that's going to be able to happen. So like I said, these are hypotheticals, and I know that a lot of it's going to be hypotheticals probably for the next month, but these are some moves I think really do help Denver. Like I said, I don't want to really just dump Watson, but these are guys that would be able to make a bigger impact than Watson right now. I know like everybody's going to say, well, the development, but half the other people are saying they don't even want to see the development, so why not make moves like this? Anyway, that's all I got for you guys today, Nuggets Nation. I will catch you guys tomorrow with another hypothetical episode. And stay tuned. Obviously, hit the like button, hit the subscribe button. I'll catch you guys soon.